Hey, how you doing? We'll get started here in just a little bit. Somebody please confirm how it sounds. I've had some challenges in the last few live broadcasts, how the sound was coming off. I got a green light on my microphone, so that's positive. And it sounds okay in my headphones, but how does it sound to you? Can you hear me okay, I guess is a better question. So I'll be starting here in just a minute. I get everything open up. Today I'm going to talk about how to automate the labels and titles inside your dashboards and recurring reports. Of course, this is using Excel. Where's that's the one I want right there. Yeah, there we go. And I'll share my screen so you can see what I got going on. Yeah, we got well, there's just one of you now. Hi, how you doing? I can try to find out who you are. Let's see. Yeah, this shows me the people that were here last week. I wonder, is there a way I can clear that? Okay, it's 10 o'clock now. I think we'll go ahead and get started, and this should be pretty short. This will be less than 20 minutes. So again, thanks for joining me. What I wanted to show you was a way for you to automate your telecom dashboards. You know, Telecom Pros, we make dashboards and reports and forecasts and models. We do that stuff all the time. And this is why I spend time talking with you about Excel, because it's a really handy tool for doing telecoms. And I've never met a telecom pro who wanted to be an Excel expert, and that's not what I'm going to show you. I am no kind of expert, and I don't think you want to be one either. But because we use Excel for so many things, I think it makes sense to at least have a minimum proficiency with Excel. And what I'm going to show you, sorry, I have to cough. Sorry about that. What I'm going to show you should be directly relevant to what you're doing in your job. I assume that you're making reports and you have a dashboard or 7 dashboards. And the challenge is the whole reason you make these reports and dashboards is to communicate. You are trying to communicate information to your peers, to your boss, maybe to coworkers in other parts of the business. And what these reports do, especially dashboards, is they often will draw on a huge, just an ocean of data, but it's just data. It's just numbers. And you're using Excel to try and distill that down or to synthesize out the true information. And Excel is really good at that. But if it takes you a lot of your time to do that process, if the synthesis or the distillation takes a long time, it's not helping you, and it's maybe not helping them as much. Because if you can make it faster and simpler to do this synthesis, first thing is you'll save time. Second thing is you'll probably do it more often. If it's easy, why not? Why do you have to wait and do it once a month? Often you do it once a month because it's kind of burdensome. It takes a bunch of your time, and you don't even look forward to it. But when it's really easy and it's fast and simple, you'll probably do it more often, because why not? It's easy to do. You'll have a quicker insight into what information that data is hiding. So there's really the point is our job is to convert all that data into information. And I'm calling that synthesis. And we're going to use Excel. We often, as telecom pros, we use Excel to do that. So I know you don't like Excel. No telecom guys I know like Excel, but because it's such a helpful tool and we use it all the time anyway, let's get at least a little bit, I'm going to hold my finger there, just a little bit proficient with that so that whatever we have to do with Excel, it's faster, it's easier, it's more informative, and we can use it to help our careers. All right, so today what I'm going to talk about, the last couple of live broadcasts, I've been talking about various aspects, little, atomic components of creating an automated dashboard or a recurring report. And what I'm going to talk about today, the atomic component is the title or any labels, how you can automate that so that when you update the data, and when I say update, I mean bring in the latest data. When you bring in that latest data for this update, it's a very fast, very short, and simple process for you so that each, for a monthly report, every month, it should be really easy. If it's a weekly report, same thing. If it's a daily report, gosh, if you're like an RF engineer and you're, every day you're, exporting a bunch of raw data from your OSS, from the vendor OSS, and you dump it into Excel to try and make a chart, how much time you spend in doing that each day? So if it's a daily report, any savings is going to pay you back so quickly because you save time every single day. All right, so let's start from there. Today, what we're going to work on is those labels or strings. Let's just call it strings, okay? Let me share my screen, and I'm going to bring up the workbook that I finished with last week. I'm just going to start from there, and I'm going to show you how you can automate these strings. Sharing. And I'm just going to share my whole screen because it's so much easier, and then you can see pretty much everything. There we go. Okay, get to Excel. There's Excel right there. Okay, so you can see here I've got a chart. I'm going to show you that second. First, I just want to show you how to do strings. So the function we're going to use is called concat. That's the concat function. Oh, let me zoom this in so you can see it a little bit easier. Okay, how's that? Can you see that okay? Big enough? That's 140%. We'll go in more. There's 150%. So it's the concat function. And there's an operator that does exactly the same thing, and it's just this character. It's called the ampersand. That on an English keyboard, that's the ampersand character. And in Excel, it's called the concatenation operator. So we'll start with the concat function. So, and it's just text. So let's start with, I'm going to manually enter a string. So, seems to be some tradition that we always start with hello world. And what that returns is hello world. Oh, so I need a space in there, right? Because it runs together. So ideally, I need a space. I can put it there. But what I think we ought to do, just so you get more accustomed to this, is there's a space. And now the concat function, concat just means kind of glue together or bring all together. The English word is concatenate. So we're going to concatenate these three, all the arguments to concat will be concatenated together. And here's what we get with those three arguments. So it's the word hello, it's a single space character, and the word world. And here's what it returns. Hello, world. Okay? Pretty straightforward. I don't ever use the concat function. You can if you prefer. I just think it's more convenient to use the concatenation operator. So let's try that again. There's hello world. So let's concatenate. It's still a function. So let's concatenate hello. And then ampersand. Well, here's the simplest view, right? That's it. It's just, really, it's one argument inside those quote marks. So now let's do this. I have a cell with the word hello in it and a cell with the word world in it. So now let's use the concat. Let's do this. I know what I'm doing. This is, again, the concatenation operator equals. And now I'm going to do hello, concatenate, and world. So now I've got the same thing, right? Just the two cell arguments, but I have the same problem I had originally, and that is I need a space. So let's add a space. So now I've got 3 arguments using 2 concatenation operators, right? Now, the reason you'll want to do this is for our dashboards, often, well, not often, you usually want to have a date. You want to be able to share a date. You want to say, hey, here's the dashboard from September of 2020, or here's my daily, my morning report, my daily report for my cluster, my sites for October 10th, 2020. So if we can automate that, you won't have to manually change the date in the report every time you download it, every time you update it. So let's take a look at that. Let me come back and check the, any questions? Can you hear me okay? I see I've got 2 of you now. Welcome to the broadcast. Thanks for being here. Go ahead and put your questions into chat. I never learned how to type and talk at the same time. So put your questions right here in the chat, and I'll be happy to answer them quick, best I can. All right, so back to the workbook. So now we'd like to embed a date into our title. So digression here about dates. If I enter today, I'm using a shortcut. Control semicolon is today's date. That's a shortcut. And it even formats it. But if I format this as general, talked about this last week. Yeah, there you go. Excel format, the way Excel tracks dates is the number of days since January 1. January 1st, 1900. Right? So there's the date, but if I just typed January 1 of 1900, if I convert that to general, it'll be the number 1. Or if I just do the number 1, and now I make it into a date, there you go. So that's the way Excel tracks dates. So when you type a date and assign a date format, when you type a number and you assign a date format, Excel is displaying that underlying number in a format. It's basically a formatted string, but it's still tracking, Excel is still tracking that as a number, the number of days since January 1 of 1900, plus any fractional part. The fractional part is the hours, minutes, and seconds in a day. And when you get to 23 hours, 59 minutes, and 59 seconds, 1 more second, and it just adds 1 to the number of days. All right, that's just the way Excel tracks dates. It helps to understand that, so it'll help you to see what's going on sometimes. Okay, so When I have a number like this, an Excel format will do this to it, if you assign it, if you ask it to. Another shortcut is Control 1. And I can pull all these different formats up, and then I can select my format. I always like this one myself. So that's the format, right? But under the hood, if I go back to a general number, it's still the number 1. Okay. So when I've got a number like this, and remember, this was today's date, I can manually format that using the function called text. So the text function takes 2 arguments. It's some value and then some format string. So if the value is 1 and the format string, remember this one was, the one I like is the format string is always quoted, DD, MMM, YY. That's a format string. We'll say more about that. Now I'm formatting the number 1 as a date in the format of 2 characters for the day number, 3 characters for the month number, the month, and 2 characters for the year. How about that? But let's change that. What if I wanted to do, that'll give me 4 M's, means the long expanded version of the month. So now I get January. That's all a format string is doing. So that's hard to read, but it's the same thing. Under the hood, it's still the number 1. Can you see that? It's kind of tiny. Number 1. Okay, so that's the text function. Something else that I think you want to know is, let's do the text function. Just like we use the concatenation, well, I take that back. That's not helpful. But let's just call out, here's my 1. It's just a cell reference. And now we'll do the format text, which was DD, MMM, YY. Close the quotes. So there you go. That's not complicated. Jump back here. Any questions? So type a question in chat if you have a question. And I'll check every once in a while. So now we've got the text function. Let's play around with a title, dashboard title. Not great. So what's my dashboard title? So let's say it's, if I use the concatenation function, I need an equal sign and then the first string, which is, let's just say dashboard. Let's make this simple, right? Let's not overcomplicate this. And then concatenate operator, the ampersand, right? Concatenate. And then if I want the date, it's the text function, right? So text. And then just for the sake of argument, I'll do that 1 again. We'll do it again here. I'm trying to do this step by step so that it's clear for you. And then the format string, which was DD, MMM, YY. And that should be it. But see, there's that space. It ran it together again. So let's try again. Now I need, after, in this case, I think it's okay just to embed a space with dashboard, right? But let's say I want to say dashboard, and I'll put the date in a quote mark, sorry, in parentheses. So I've added the open parentheses, and then I'll have my date, and now I need to add my closing parentheses. So there's the ampersand, closing parenthesis, and that's it. See that? So maybe you can see this a little easier. I'll remove the equal sign. So it's a string, and then the date formatted using the text function, and then the closing parentheses string. Make sense? Oh, hi, Catherine. Welcome aboard. Glad to have you here. So again, what I'm trying to do here is automate the title. In this case, it's the title of the dashboard. So there's two things that we can do here. You'll remember last week I showed you an automated way to create the trailing 12 months. That's in the case of a monthly recurring report or a monthly dashboard. And that began by starting with the max function, finding the maximum date value inside the data. So I'm going to extend that here for this title automation to get that automation. So for now, I could say, the simplest thing I could say, I'm still doing dashboard titles, right? I'm going to just copy this and add the equal sign. So it's a dashboard again, right? It's the title, but I don't want to use one. Let's use the latest date from our dashboard. Remember that? So the shortcut there is function F3. And there's latest date. So now the latest date, remember that latest date actually derives from the data that's in the dashboard. I don't have to type the date anywhere. It's just included in the data that what did I say? Bring in was the term I used. Whether I paste it or type it or import it from a file or use some kind of query, a programmatic query string or a SQL or something like that. However that data is brought in every time I want to update, it includes the date, and that's what this latest date named range is. So if I check that, so now you can see back here, my latest date was 12 October, 12 October 2016. That's confusing because today's 11 October, but it's 2020. So it just so happens the data is almost exactly 4 years old. So here in my string, I've got, this is the maximum date of this data. But normally back here, what I did here is I always normalize that to the first of the month so that every date, all of my trailing 12 months in this particular dashboard happens on the first day of the month. And I haven't shown you why that's important, but you want your pivot tables later to always be using the same date. And if your dates are distributed, if the dates of your data are distributed throughout the month, the pivot table might not do what you want it to do. So I embed that first day of the month for each of these trailing 12 months. I'd rather do that once, do it here. So it's really, I'm going to do that, the date function. And then the month function. Once again, I'm using that F3, function F3 shortcut. Now I've embedded that one. So now the month is here, and I like to format that this way. For the dashboard, I format that as this way. So it just shows up as a month and a year. So that's the named range latest month. So if I come back to my chart here and use that instead, I was doing function F3. Function F3, you get my latest month. And now it shows up as that. Since it's a dashboard, this is not the format string I like. Here's the format string I like for my dashboard. So now I can show that this is the dashboard. The title for my dashboard will have the month in it. Got that? All right, so here's the next thing, again, to help your automation. I have linked to this named range latest month. Maybe I create my dashboard, and this is the format that I like for the date format that I like. But it might not be a good idea to embed that throughout my dashboard, because the title is going to include that. What I'm going to show you over here on the right side is how to embed that in the title of your charts. But I don't want to have to type this in everywhere. So let's just, for my dashboard, going to make a couple more rows here. Let's do a date. I'm going to create another named range called format date. Let's not do it there. Here's where I want the named range format date. And here I'm going to have, now I've got a named range called date format. Let's do this. Let's come back here and say, let's just do my named range. Function F3 is format date. Lovely. Looks like I didn't do something right. I did wrap that. Maybe I'm not supposed to wrap it in quotes. I forget this. Mo better. But I didn't do it right. So it's showing the month number, and I wanted October. So let's add a. So now I've got a named range. Let's copy that so it's easier to see, yeah? Here's the formula without the equal sign. So here's the text string dashboard with an opening parenthesis, left parenthesis, and then my text function is using the latest month derived from my data, and it formats that based upon this named range called format date. Here's the format. I can now change the format. I've already done this. You've seen it. What if I do this? I have 3 Ys. What's it going to do? That's another mistake. See, it did 4 numbers. It doesn't respect 3. So let's get that right. And now that should look the way we want it. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so now the importance here is you're just, by putting it into a named range, for the first argument, the latest month, that will change automatically as the data changes. As you import data each time you update your dashboard, that'll change automatically. And the value to you of using a named range for the date format is we all have bosses. And although I like this MMM-DD format, this is the format I like. Maybe my boss doesn't. You know how it is with bosses, right? You know, every boss is perfectly willing to say, I prefer a date format that says, you know, October longhand, right? So, you know, if the boss said this way, it's really easy to change it throughout your report. See, there it is right there. So that's why we do it that way. It just kind of future-proofs you from somebody else saying, could you do it like this? Sure, it's easy to do it now. It wasn't much extra. Once you understand it, it's not much extra work. All of this stuff, it takes a lot more time to explain it than to actually do it. And I'm sure you're already using named ranges. So this shouldn't be a big stretch for you, but this is how you automate a title in your dashboard or monthly report. Right there it is. I'm going to change back to the one I like because my boss isn't here. So let's take one of those out of there. All right, there we go. And I should have done this. Okay. So now I've got a dashboard title formatted. Now let's do a chart title. And I'm going to do this kind of in the same place. This is just a chart that I kind of put together. Doesn't matter what it is, but you can see it has no title. And on your dashboard, you always want to have a title for your charts, because if you've picked your charts well, you'll often get someone, you're in a meeting and somebody says, could you send me that chart? Not the whole dashboard, just that chart. So for that reason, I always put a very clear title. I usually put a legend as well. I put clear title and legend in all the charts in my dashboards or my reports. So in case somebody does ask for it, it's just trivial to send that out to them. Okay, no comments, questions. So now we're going to go back here. Yeah. I'm going to make my workbook a little bit bigger. Okay, so now let's do a chart title. Okay, so the chart title, I think I stole this from Long Distance Dashboard. That's what I was teaching last week. So I think that I want the chart title to be MOU, minutes of use. Domestic long distance minutes of use, yeah. And I need that date. Well, we know how to do that now, right? So we're going to make it a string. There's a space and an opening parenthesis. Close out my string with a quote, ampersand, and remember it was the text function. And the date was function F3, latest month. Comma, now the second argument to the text function was function F3, the format date. And then I want to close out the parenthesis for the title. So there's my title for this chart. Okay, how do I get that in here? This is the part that maybe I can help you with. This might be something new for you. So click on chart design. Can you see that okay? Let me know if you can't see that. Click on chart design, and then way over here to the left, it says chart element, and click the down arrow, and you want chart title. And above chart, yeah, I think I do above chart. That way it doesn't overlap with the data. So it just added that. So right now, that chart title is selected. You can see it's selected because it's got the outline and the four corners are each that dot. So what I'm going to do now is just click here and do an equal sign and then click on the chart title I created. And then complete that. And now what I have there appears here in the chart title. Pretty simple, huh? I encourage you, you want to always make this look good. You can see how in this basic chart, the left vertical axis is the same color as the series displayed. So it's very clear. The right vertical axis is the same color as the bars. So there's no ambiguity about which vertical axis is what. Match those colors, and it's very clear to you and to your audience. They won't have to ask. Now, myself, I'm kind of a fan of this blue color. Now, you can do it down here as well. So now it's kind of an attractive chart, but I don't have a legend. I'm not showing what these values are. So let's come back here to the chart design. Let's add a legend. There's a legend. And, it's up to you. It really depends. It depends on what your data is. If the data is showing up, filling up the vertical real estate inside the chart, you might want to put the legend to the right. If you've got, plenty of space left, right to show the 12 months of data in this example, you could put the chart, that won't be a problem. Put the legend on the right. If you don't, if it's packed together tightly, maybe you're trying to show 2 or 3 charts inside one page and you don't have enough left-right space, enough width, you can put the legend on top. I'll leave that up to you. I kind of prefer consistency. So, if one of my charts uses a legend at the top, I kind of prefer putting all the legends at the top just so that each chart looks kind of the same. I think that makes it easier for the audience to assimilate the information. They don't have to process any exceptions. They all look more or less the same. They can just focus on the data, what's it saying. So let's put one here. I'll put that on top. Okay. Now, what if I don't like these labels? And once again, I can I like that blue. If you're really, being careful, you might say, oh, I should make my MOU per sub that blue color, and my MOU should match the red color. That's up to you. Whatever. Again, I like the consistency. Do that consistently. So, but what if I don't like, maybe typically this will come directly from, in this case, the name, the legend, bloopers. Hang on a second. So in this case, the legend labels, MOU per sub, comes right from there. And you can see that if I click on the chart and click chart design, select data, the label comes from N2. Well, there's N2 right there. So normally, you'll set up the data so that it can be, so that the label is what you want it directly from the data. But if that's not possible, you can do the same thing you did with the chart title. So what do you want to call it? But I need to wrap that in the quote marks and an equal sign. And maybe this is, I lied to you. Since I'm not using an ampersand concatenation operator, I'm not using the concat function, I can just leave the string like that. And now, if I once again select the chartle, the bloopers, that'll go into the blooper reel. If I select the chart and then click chart design, and once again, the select data. So now, right here, right now the chart N2, this field up here, right there, I can change it to be here. And see how that changed? It says MOU per sub. And for the other one, same thing. Instead of MOU, O2, let's change it to B26. B26. Now it says minutes of use. So this is not so much automation as control over the communication. This is, you might not want to have a verbose string like minutes of use associated with the data directly, but you can in your chart. So now the cool thing about this is it is automated. Let's say I add, well, I can't do that here. I can't do that because I didn't set up my dashboard. I can show you a dashboard. We've done that before. Yeah. Let me pull up the dashboard, which is open recent lesson source. I showed you this last week, but it's the same deal. I'm going to check for a question. Okay, good. Here's my input table for the data. Let me quickly, you can see I've kind of cheated. I have data over here that I'm going to copy and paste. And same here. Didn't I? I used to. So I'm going to do that now. And I will flag that so I can do it later. Boy, how did I do that so badly? Okay. Yeah. And just to get my dashboard back to my dashboard still says, did it just correct itself? I didn't even, oh, yeah, that's right. I need to refresh my pivot tables though. So click here, refresh the pivot tables, refresh all. So now the dashboard should be August. And it is August, August, and all my charts say August. You can see here, I was consistent. Instead of keeping the label text blue like the title, I changed it to match the color of the series. Yeah. And consistently showed the legend at the top of each chart rather than on the right. That's just me. I like that consistency. It's up to you. It's your dashboard. You can do that part the way you want. But what I came here to show you was if I now update my data, remember this is August, right? Here's the data from August. If I come back here and I copy in my September data, here's my September data. I'll do the same thing here. Ooh, what did I do wrong there? Values. So now I've got the September. I did that wrong. I did that really wrong. Too many. I selected too many. So this is 9-1. Now I've added September data. September data. If I come back and now refresh my pivot tables, now my dashboard will show all September data. September, and every chart, I've embedded the date of the dashboard into each chart. So you can see clearly, this is my cost per MOU for September, monthly cost for September, cost per subscriber, September, the MOU distribution, which is not a very useful chart because it says the same thing every month. So that's automation. That's automation. That's using your the tools of Excel to automate. So recap here, excuse me, and talk about maybe next week. Today we've automated those strings so that as you update the data, the strings will accurately reflect the latest data. Last week we did the dates so that as you update the data, the dates automatically update. You don't have to. One of the challenges that I've seen with Telecom pros, the way they use Excel, is when they update their data, they've got to go and they might have to change the date in a couple of different places. So this gets us around that. This gets us around that. We don't have to manually, when we're trying to update a dashboard or a recurring report, we don't have to manually correct the date in 1 or 2 or 6 different cells. We've set it up so that happens automatically. So that's off our to-do list. Now to update with the dates automated, with the strings automated, there's a little more I've got to show you. But what I'm going for is when you update your dashboard or when you update a recurring report, simple 2-step process. Enter the new data. And however you do that. And again, I've given you 4 examples. I'm sure there's more. You can type the new data yourself. You can copy it from some other source and paste it into your workbook. You can import a CSV, and you can have like a query that's automated or linked to something else, bringing it into your workbook automatically. However you get the new data in, do that. That's step 1. Step 2, refresh your pivot tables. Okay, that's it for today. I think next week what we'll do is I'm going to show you that report again. I guess I better share my screen again. Here. So with this dashboard, in this layout, this is easy to get the trailing 12 months. Those are the dates that I automated in last week's presentation. The rest of this uses this cute little function called get pivot data. Get pivot data is how you take the data from a pivot table and you put it exactly where you want it. That's the part I think, honestly, I don't think I've ever met a Telecom pro that was already doing that. So I think this will be very helpful for you. You don't have to use my layout for a dashboard. You can come up with your own, but this get pivot data function will allow you to place the data from that shows up in the original pivot table. You can make that display in your dashboard anywhere you want. And that's a great automation function. That's a great automation tool. What happened there? I guess I better come back here and sorry, I didn't share. My bad. Too many moving parts. Any other questions? Catherine, thanks. I hope that helps you. And I never did see who the other attendee was. I can update here. And Raulito, I think that was also from last week. It's nice to have the platform here every week so it's easy for everybody to get in. But it doesn't keep track of the names very well. Okay, if you have any questions, Catherine, I know you've got my email address. You can reply to any of the emails I send out, or you can ping me on LinkedIn or Facebook or WhatsApp, whatever. Raulito, hi, how you doing? Any questions, just let me know. And next week, we'll start working on that get pivot data function, because that's the one that allows you to take the pivot table data and automatically place it wherever you want it to be in your dashboard or your recurring reports. Okay, Catherine, Raulito, have a great weekend. Bye-bye. Oh, one more thing. At the end of this, once I'm done here, I'll record this video and paste it to YouTube, or post it to YouTube. You guys won't want to see it again. I'm sure it'll bore you to death, but some other people might. But I'll also send out an email and give you a link. You can download my dashboard, the dashboard I worked on today. So maybe that will help you jog your memory if you're trying to do this for yourself. And if you are trying to do it for yourself and you have any questions, ping me. Happy to help. All right. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.